Welcome into the Starcast Mark Studios. I'm Ryan, and we are the official Dallas Stars podcast of the Hockey Podcast Network. This is AGR number 21 against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Final score tonight, 3-2. Dallas Stars get the win. This is their 6th win in a row. That is so nice to say. 7th win in a row at home and 7 of 8 overall. I don't think we've been able to say something like that for a very long time, even from the team that went to the Stanley Cup final. But anyways, guys, please make sure that you use the promo code THPN the next time you go and use their app. That gives you a special little offer from them, lets them know that we're the ones that sent you. We'd really appreciate that. But at this time, we're going to bring in other super fans of the Dallas Stars podcast, Chris and James. Hey guys, how are y'all doing tonight?
GG boys, Stars win again, 6 in a row. Let's go!
I appreciate
you were actually gonna do it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I guess we have to start. Do we need to start calling it GG now?
Yes, it's GG boys. Follow through.
Okay, GG boys.
Follow through.
Hashtag
Wait, do we
GG
have to
boys.
say the boys or just GG?
Boys.
Boys or boys?
Boys. B-O-I-Z.
Not
I
boys,
can't say that.
boys.
GG boys, Stars win.
Okay, guys. Anyways, lots of things to talk about in tonight's game. We could go off on just any kind of random tangent here, but looking at this game, what is your biggest takeaway coming out of this game for you, positive or negative?
Fighting through adversity. I mean, the first 5 games that we won in this streak wasn't much adversity. I mean, we talked about it. The first 5 games, we hadn't been behind. We hadn't lost the lead. We had been tied, but we hadn't been behind. This game, after the first 2 minutes, which somehow we score again in the first 2 minutes, whatever. But we got punched in the face, both literally and figuratively, by the Columbus Blue Jackets. They played a great road opening period and a great start to the second period, too. And just the answer from the Stars right after that goal from Texier was great. It was just spot on, perfect response. It's crazy how we didn't score sooner than we did in the second period, but we got him anyway. And that's my biggest takeaway. Responding when we had adversity and just big come behind win by the Stars. Great game by them.
Yeah, it definitely felt like this was the hardest the team played against us to try to win a game. Because like we've been saying, they hadn't been behind for a very long time. This is the first game that they had
5
to be
games.
behind. Yep, 5 games. And it's great to see them be able to come back in it.
Chris, I love your point. That would have been my takeaway for this game as well. Just the fact that, like you said, we had been, in and ahead of every single game over the past, 2 weeks. It feels like, and
Probably.
it just felt like with this game tonight, even though we did get punched in the face, like you said, just the fact that they were able to respond in a way that is positive when they went down 2-1. I had just had this feeling in my stomach that, it's going to be fine. And I hadn't felt like that before November 10th. Pre-November 10th, there were times when we go down like, oh, crud, we're not coming back in this game. But ever since we've been on this winning streak, I've loved the way that the Stars have played. And if that game right there doesn't tell you that the Stars are playing their best hockey right now, I don't know what does.
Yeah, exactly. And I wasn't even confident that we were going to come back. I mean, after that goal in the beginning of the second period, I was like, man, they're on us. But just the response just right, and it was immediately after that goal too. Just the response was just great. I was very confident after I saw the response when we were pushing in the second period. I felt like we were coming back.
I do want to give a quick shout out for a couple of things. First off, we all know what happened last time the Stars played the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I made a whole video about it when there was a really bad comment that was made from a Stars fan about Matisse Kivlenix towards...
a person wearing a Stars jersey.
Okay, true, yes. A person wearing
Not
a Stars
jersey.
fan. Not a Stars fan. And I even said that. I should know my own words.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but anyways, a Stars person wearing a Stars jersey made a comment. We're not quite sure what the comment was. I'm not going to say it here. I think I know what it was. But anyways, Julie Broderick on Twitter actually went out and decided to try and show the Columbus Blue Jackets goaltender some love. We thought he was going to get the start tonight. Unfortunately, he didn't. But hopefully he saw all the signs of, love for him, for the fact from actual Stars fans, understanding that, like, what happened there was not right at all. And, I mean, there was tons of love for Elvis Merzlikins tonight. And you could see all the signs, especially during warm-up.
Yep. I mean, obviously that guy sucks. We don't like him. So I'm glad we responded in the right way. At least the people who were at the game did.
Right. And I also want to give a huge shout out to the Columbus Blue Jackets goaltender Tarasov.
Oh yeah.
I mean, getting thrown into a situation like that where exactly how Daryl Ray put it. You wake up as the Cleveland Monsters starting goaltender, and later in the morning you're like, hey, you're gonna go play in Columbus in the NHL and make your NHL debut and make it against a team that's really hot right now. Yeah. Here you go. Here's the net. So huge shout out to him and the game that he played. What did y'all think about his play?
I mean, he was pretty good. We should have scored way more. I mean, It's obvious from his save percentage. He has a .919 save percentage and let in 3 goals and lost the game. So I thought he was great.
Yeah, I thought he was very good, especially once I realized. I didn't even realize at first that he wasn't even one of their starting goaltenders. That they just brought him up, and he played outstanding for not having even played for the team before.
Yeah, he's very similar to Ottinger in the fact that he's just a big body and he positions himself in the right way and stops a lot of pucks that way. And I feel like that is such an easy way to play goalie in the NHL, is just be large and stand in the right spot. So it shouldn't have been too much of a shock for him, and it wasn't. He played great.
And unfortunately, we know nothing about being big, right? We're all like, well, y'all are both taller than me, but I'm still only 5'5".
What are you talking about, man? I'm huge.
Yeah. Chris is pretty
Shut
big.
up, you guys. Y'all are both under 6 foot. We're all under
I'm
6'2",
right, James?
Yeah. 6'2".
Okay.
These people don't know any better, so.
One other thing before we get into the goal summary for the game. I think Columbus is starting to become one of my favorite teams. The more that I've watched hockey, I've watched a ton of hockey since we started this podcast. Not just the Stars, but just across. It seems like every night I'm watching some sort of game, and I have found myself watching the Columbus Blue Jackets more and more. And I love the fact that this team in particular, the Blue Jackets, they've lost Seth Jones. They lost all these players. They lost Bobrovsky a couple years ago. They lost Artemi Panarin a couple years ago. And, everyone was putting them in the dumpster of the Eastern Conference in their division. I think they're in the Metro Division. I'm not quite sure whatever division they're in. But they still have a winning record. And that's despite, all the people they've lost and, no one believing in this team and everything like that. So I loved watching them play tonight. And even though we were
the first period.
Yeah, right, true. But even though we played well tonight, I still think Columbus deserves some credit tonight. They played great. So I might be watching some more Columbus Blue Jackets games here around the corner.
I mean, they play good, but we're just a better hockey team, and we responded really well to the game plan that they put forward, and we completely reversed it on them. We played their game plan, and we beat them just with a Jamie Benn, and I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later, too. Jamie had an awesome game.
Yeah, well, let's just go ahead and do that now since you went ahead and brought it up. Jamie Benn got the hat trick of hits tonight. All 3 of his hits were huge. We haven't seen that Jamie Benn in quite a while. And I think with the style of play, like you mentioned, Chris, that Columbus plays, that brought out the best of Jamie Benn in that particular facade, that asset that he has of, banging the body like he did.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't appear on the score sheet at all, except on the penalty column, of course. But he had a huge impact in this game, just turning the tide. Like you said, the big hits, the great defensive plays. He had good offensive chances too. I mean, Rad's had so many chances from Ben that should have been buried. Goodness, but yeah, he made a big impact on the game, even though he didn't end up on the score sheet.
And it's always fun to just watch Ben go out and just hit whoever he wants, and it's much fun to watch.
It is fun to watch.
It is. And I will say, I think his penalty was a little unfortunate, too. He obviously wasn't doing that on purpose, and it just so happened that Bjorkstrand turned at the exact wrong moment, and he, I mean, it was a penalty.
It was a big time penalty, yeah.
but it was just unfortunate the way that it happened out. So, but anyway, Jamie Benn has been playing well as of late. And just to throw the face-off numbers that this guy is out right now, it's insane.
That's the thing he's been most consistent on too. Consistently, like at least in the 65s every single game. I haven't seen him below 65 yet.
And today he's at 71.4%. He took
crazy.
14 draws and won 10 of them. That's absolutely insane. And just having possession of the puck when you have that is just so important to controlling the game and then in the end winning the game.
Yeah, and the proof is at the very end of the game too. They get the 2 seconds left with the penalty, and I know Michael Raffel comes in and wins it somehow. But that just shows you how important faceoffs can be, like especially on stuff like that, on penalty kills. When you're starting on power plays, not having to do his own entry, just win the faceoff. You're already in the zone. Stuff like that, it's just huge.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get into the goal summary tonight, guys. So starting again, the Minutemen do it again, right? I guess, is it Minutemen, or are we going with Pavs and Sons?
It's Minutemen for the first minute of the game.
No, it's the Minutemen. The Minutemen is such a cool name. I'm calling them the Minutemen.
I think so too. I think it was Brian Ray. He put a little thing up on Twitter and said, "Hey, who should we call the hints line?" And the one that actually won was Pavelski and Sons, which I get.
No.
But I like Minutemen better, just especially lately. So
we get the weird stat from that one. So
right,
it's,
the weird flex, like you said, James.
Yeah, weird flex. We are the first team in NHL history to score in the first 75 seconds of 4 consecutive games.
That's a very
that's a
specific
mouthful.
stat.
No, that's not specific at all. What are you talking about? Every team wants that. That's the most sought after statistic in hockey.
So, anyways, after that goal, it's scored by actually Jason Robertson. Didn't even say who scored it. Robertson gets his 6th of the year from Hakanpää and Pavelski. Pavelski continues his point streak. I believe he's at 5 games or something like that. Whatever it is. But I do know at this point it was 8 points in 4 games. So that's insane.
It's loud.
And then Hakanpää actually has started to get it going. And, that's one guy we haven't talked a ton about. But offensively, he's showing up on the score sheet. And with Klingberg out tonight, he had to step up, and tonight he did.
And that was the ticket right there. Klingberg was gone. So Hakanpää played with Suter, and then voila, offense. I mean, not too hard of a formula there. But, yeah, he played a great game. Probably his best offensive game that he's played for the Stars so far. I thought he was really good. I thought he had some struggles, like James was saying, in the first period. But, I mean, defensively, but the whole team was too. So, but offensively, he was great all game long.
Go ahead, James.
So it really felt like in the defensive end that defensive pair looked really bad. It looked like Hakanpää and Suter just did not work very well together for me. And I think they were actually out for both goals scored against tonight, if I remember that correctly. I know they were at least out for one of them, but it just felt like they weren't connecting defensively, but definitely their offense was still there.
It was at least one of them because Hakanpää ended with a +1 on the night and he has 2 assists. So, unless Hakanpää was out for all 3 goals, then he was at least out for 1, maybe 2. So we'll see how that goes. But hopefully, I mean, I thought it was an okay game for him. But
yeah,
go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Both of those guys were on the ice for all goals against and all goals for. So those are just the goal guys, I guess. I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah.
Weird statistic of the night.
It's so weird. That's one of many weird statistics on the night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the weird flex though. That we should have made that a hashtag and put that hashtag weird flex. Okay. Anyways, the period goes on. About 5 minutes later, they are in the offensive zone. Shot is blocked. Boone Jenner takes it, goes on a breakaway. I mean, there's nothing you could do about that. I mean, that was a fantastic play by him, defensively and offensively. And Ottinger, there was nothing he could do on that play. He was fully stretched out, the whole 6'5" frame. And Boone Jenner puts it away, backhand, and kind of slides it in, and it's tied 1-1.
There is something you can do about it. You cannot shoot the puck right into the guy's shin pads when you're on the blue line. That was not a great play by Gurionov. But yeah, it was a great individual effort after he blocked the original shot.
Yeah, and even it's crazy because he even fought off Gurry on the back check too. Gurry even got a little bit of stick on him, but not enough to stop him from scoring that. It's crazy play.
Yeah, strong play on the puck. Really, really good. It was a real scrappy goal on a halfway breakaway kind of. It was really, really nice play.
And then honestly, after that, the Stars didn't play all that great.
They sucked.
The rest of the first period was most definitely dominated by Columbus for the most part. The Stars played good enough to end the period 1-1, but there probably should have been some of those chances that should have gone in the back of the net for the Columbus Blue Jackets. For the Blue Jackets, we deserved to be down after that first period after that goal, I should say. The first 5 minutes, it was pretty good. But after that goal was scored, it kind of woke up the Blue Jackets and they're like, hey, we can take this game. But nonetheless, we did not break. What did y'all think about the rest of the play in the first period from the Stars or the Blue Jackets?
Yeah, it was really good. I thought more so than anything, the Blue Jackets were just great on the forecheck, just throwing the body around, making a lot of noise.
I love the way they play.
We know, Ryan. Go start a Columbus Blue Jackets podcast. You're gonna be by yourself, but because there's no Columbus Blue Jacket fans. But anyway,
I think you say the same about the Stars.
No.
Florida.
Not this year. You can't.
Okay.
They're still. I don't get it. They still can't get anybody to come into and watch the games. But whatever. That's another topic.
Because they live at nowhere. Anyway, yeah, the Stars were terrible. The Blue Jackets forecheck was great the entire first period. Making a lot of big hits, really making it hard for us to get out of our own zone. And I felt like it was more them causing turnovers and getting takeaways than it was the Stars giving more giveaways. I thought they were just playing really well on the forecheck, and we just figured them out and matched their intensity after their goal in the second period. So the first period, I give all credit to the Blue Jackets there.
And so, like we said, the first period ends in a 1-1 duel between the two teams. It was a fun period to watch. I still didn't think the Stars played their best game, but they came out in the second period and they played much better until in the first 2 minutes, Alexander Texier gets his 7th of the year from Gavrikov and Boquist. So two defensemen get the assists on the goal there. And really, there was nothing super special about that play in particular. It was just, Ottinger was screened, and the Texier kind of made the shot through one of our defensemen's legs, and it kind of makes its way into the net.
It was a wicked shot too, though. You got to give him some credit.
Yes, I'm not taking anything away from his shot. It was a great shot, but it was nothing.
Yeah, not a great play.
Not a great play. It was just kind of like, he did his business. He took care and got the shot he needed. So, but it continues on.
Well, after that goal, the Stars' response is great. They start throwing the body around more. They match Columbus's intensity. They're getting the puck out of our zone much easier. The big thing was Columbus was really flying up the boards on their forecheck. Our defensive guy was passing it around to the other defenseman. Then he was taking the spot in the center of the ice where the free ice was, because Columbus was giving that to us. So he takes the place in the middle of the ice. So we swing it up the boards, out to the middle, and we're out into the neutral zone, easy peasy. And once we figured that out, we were flying. And it was proven in that second period. We had so many shots on goal. How many was it? Oh man, it's not pulled up. How many shots on goal we have that period, James?
19.
How many did they have?
Woo!
They had 6.
Yeah. So
it completely flipped from first period.
Exactly. It was a complete flip in both directions. So the Stars had a great start in the first period, terrible rest of the first period. The Blue Jackets had a great start to the second period, terrible rest of the second period, except the Stars amplified that second period. And man, they could have scored 4 goals in that second period. It was a great response by the Stars.
And so the Stars do, and that was a good response by the Stars. So the Stars continue it. They don't get it right away. It takes a little while. However, Tyler Seguin finally He's on the score sheet again. It's been a while, but he gets his 6th of the year from Foxa and Hakanpää gets his 2nd assist of the game. And, I mean, you go to the net, you get a goal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a greasy goal, but, Sagan really needs something like this to get going. And it's good to see him on the score sheet.
Yeah, it feels like Sagan can't score with his stick. He can only score with his knee and his chest.
Yeah.
So apparently that's how he's scoring goals.
Roussel goals.
Exactly.
and honestly, that was kind of like finally when we just stopped. We were like line changing after their first goal. Even we had been switching the bottom 3 lines, just trying to figure out which one happens, and it worked somehow. I don't know how it worked. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah. Yeah, and Hakanpää, that was a great play by Hakanpää. He had it on high up on the sideboards, kind of on the top of the circle. He saw Sagan come in. He just kind of flings it at him. Doesn't even try and hit the tape. He's just like, get it to the net, give it a chance. Great goal.
Hey, and we'll take it. That completely destroyed the momentum for the Columbus Blue Jackets too, because they'd been able to keep us at bay up to that point, even though, we had a good majority of the scoring chances in that second period.
Yeah, keep us at bay, but man, we were running downhill at that point. It was a matter of time.
And Tyler Sagan did that for us, so thank goodness he did. I guess you could call this a Minutemen goal. Can you call this a Minutemen goal?
Sure,
Because
I'll take it.
Sure,
it was
right.
A
It was
minute
right out
of the other goal.
Right,
That's
right.
kind of similar.
Right, we'll take it. Right? Okay, so about 50 seconds later, Jason Robertson gets his 2nd of the game, 7th of the year from Ryan Suter, and who else but Joe Pavelski, who gets his 9th point in 4 games at the age of 37. That is just so stupid.
Which brings up the second weird flex of the night. He's the oldest, I think. Let me get this right. Okay, he's the first player 37 years or older to record 4 straight multi-point games since March 2004.
Also not specific.
Not specific at all.
No.
Right.
Very general statistic there.
The last guy to do that actually was, I think it was, I'm trying to remember at the bottom of the graphic there. I think it was Cliff Ronning, right? Cliff Ronning when he played for New York Islanders, I think is what it was.
Yes,
so,
that's impressive.
I mean, that's good company to be in, right? Cliff Ronning was a great player back in the 90s and early 2000s. So, but anyway, let's talk about how excited Jason Robertson was. That was so much fun to watch.
Every time he scores a goal, you need to just watch his face. He doesn't celebrate with his entire body the way Rads does, but his face just lights up. He looks like the happiest person in the entire world every time he scores.
Well, it always feels like he wants to score every time. Even when he's passing it, it's like it feels like sometimes he doesn't want to give it away. He just wants to throw it on net himself.
And right now, he shouldn't give it away. He should shoot everything he gets. So,
right. So that gives the Stars the 3-2 lead, and it looks completely different going into the second intermission with that 1-goal lead. Because for a while, I honestly thought that they were going to shut the door on us, and they were going to take a 2-1 lead to the second intermission, and we were going to have to fight back. But completely flips. We jump on the Minutemen's momentum there, and I mean, that was the second period. It was a great period for the Stars. It was just a matter of time before something kind of exploded out of the dam. Tarasov was, I wouldn't say he was like standing on his head, but he was making a lot of good, solid saves. And, again,
he was keeping him in it. Yeah.
Right. And I just felt like, you know how Steve Dangle always talks about the Leafs curse, and every time there seems to be something in favor of the Leafs lose the game or whatever. It just felt like, oh, well, they don't have both their goaltenders playing. There's a rookie in there. It's his first NHL game, and we're on a 6-game winning streak. Of course, or a 5-game winning streak, and of course, we're going to lose this game. That's what it kind of felt like for some.
That was the biggest storyline amongst Stars fans going into this game was like, man, we can't wait to see the Vezina caliber performance from Tarasov, which always happens whenever we play a team's not starter somehow. So, yeah.
Hey, but normally it's the backup, right? He's not the backup. He's the third string. So we were good, I guess.
This guy's not even on the team. He didn't even make the team, and he still had a .920 save percentage against us.
Again,
What?
shout out to him. Great game by him. But anyways, we get into the third period. Third period, I don't know how you guys felt about the third period. There's no goals to talk about here, obviously. But what did y'all think about the Stars' play in the third period? Good, bad, indifferent?
This was the best third period we played in our entire win streak. I mean,
Agreed. 100%.
We kept the pressure on. We stayed in the offensive zone. We were looking for goals still. We weren't looking to spend time in the offensive zone and put pressure off our goalie. We were looking to score, and we almost did multiple times, and we honestly should have scored at least one. And man, Tarasov was great and kept him in it the whole game. But honestly, the Blue Jackets don't even really get a good chance in the third period. I think scoring. Yeah, they had 2 scoring chances in the third period, according to Natural Stat Trick. So the Stars kept the offensive pressure on and locked it down in the defensive zone at the same time, proving that you don't just have to turtle. You can be aggressive and turtle at the same time. And it worked great. It was a great third period.
James, what did you think about the third period there? Was it fantastic? Was it good? What did you think?
I liked it. I disagree with y'all saying that it was the best out of it. I think the best one still goes to the Oilers game.
Get out of here.
That was awesome. But yeah, it was a really solid third period. Probably the worst thing that you could take away from it was that our power play looked like garbage.
Yeah, that sucked.
but
That's true, yeah.
Apart
I'll
from
take
that, it was a very solid third period.
All right, so just to give you guys some stats for the night, and then we'll talk about a couple more things if y'all want to. Shots on goal for the Stars tonight, 37-22. That seems to be a stat that's kind of going back and forth for the Stars, which is okay because at the beginning of the year we were always on the rough side of that. You know, always having less shots on goal than the other team. Face-off percentage, we talked about this multiple times, 60.4% compared to Columbus's 39.6%. That needs to stay there in order for us to continue the win streak. We just mentioned it. Power play, 0 for 1 for the Stars, 0 for 2 for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Hits were huge in tonight's game. Very physical game, 24-19 in favor of the Columbus Blue Jackets.
And that made this game super fun to watch. I mean, it didn't feel like a regular season game. It felt like coming down to the wire, trying to get into a playoff spot game. It was great. Loved it.
Block shots, 19-7 in favor of the Columbus Blue Jackets. So that's a little bit of a different stat. And normally that's a stat that we lead in most games. Not by a ton, but most of the time.
Well, we can't block shots if they're not shooting.
Yeah.
That does help. That's true.
The crazy thing was, I'm pretty sure like half of those were in the first period too. So I don't know how that happens, but maybe they just like didn't block as many. They just didn't block as many in the rest of the game. But it was weird to see that.
And then let's talk about the breakdown in shots between the periods. We very briefly mentioned the second period, but shots on goal per period, 11-6 in favor of Columbus, 19-6 in favor of the Stars in the second, and then 12-5 in favor of the Stars in the third period. So you can most of the time use shots on goal as a metric to see how the game was going if you didn't watch the game. That game against the Oilers, or whatever game we got completely outshot in. I can't remember.
Last game.
Was it the last game? Yeah, against the Hurricanes. It was like 40-22 or something like that. That was the only game I would say you would actually have to watch the game and realize that it was actually a really good game by the Stars. But, generally the shots on goal and who gets more shots in that period kind of lines up with which team was better in that period. Yeah. Columbus in the first, Stars in the second and third.
Yeah, I'm still convinced we got away with one in Carolina, but for the most part, I'll agree with you. And I'm bringing in a new stat from Natural Stat Trick. We talked about how we should talk about the scoring chances for. Well, Natural Stat Trick has those, and I like how they do it. I agree with them for most of the time, and you know how much I like things that agree with me. So, scoring chances
Chris
for
is always right. So, you always find a stat that
is
you.
Why I have a podcast, Ryan. Of course, I'm always right. Okay, right. So scoring chances 8-9 in favor of Columbus in the first period, 15-7 in the second period in favor of Dallas, and 11-2 in favor of Dallas in the final period.
Holy crap!
the Stars had chances in the third period and locked them down as well. So really good.
All right, let's get to some of these comments here tonight because there's a lot of good comments over here in the stuff. There's some on YouTube, some on Facebook. Well, let's take a look at YouTube first. Ardell, Heiskanen, Lindell, and Hakanpää with big minutes tonight. So no big surprise about Heiskanen and Lindell. Heiskanen has very quietly been playing well, not getting the goals that he did, more at the beginning, but we don't need him to right now. But he's still getting on the score sheet for the most part with assists. Lindell is always doing his thing. He's playing great defensively. It's why he gets paid big money. It's because how solid he is defensively. And then we did mention Hakanpää, and James kind of says it was kind of a mixed bag with Hakanpää, but regardless, all three guys played decent tonight.
Yeah, Miro Heiskanen's time on ice was 28:52. Esa Lindell plays more than half the game, 30 minutes and 28 seconds.
Holy smokes.
We want our Klinger back, please. We do not need Lindell playing that many minutes for multiple games in a row, and I think he's going to very much enjoy this 3-day rest.
Yeah. I think Hakanpää having more minutes tonight is partially because Klingberg's out. Like, I'm sure that's a big part of it. But in the past 3 games, I've really liked how Hakanpää is played, actually. He's played
played much better.
He's played very solid in the last couple of games.
Yep, I agree. He's been better, and especially towards the beginning of the year when we were kind of high and mighty on him, just big, 6'5", finished defenseman coming in, and he didn't really show up at first, and now he's starting to show up a little bit. So it's good to see him doing
Some
better
big hits.
in especially the big hits, and especially back in the defensive zone. Brandon saying Otter was great tonight.
I'm going to have to disagree. I thought he was terrible. His save percentage was .909. That is awful. Are you kidding me? He's got to play better. We're not going to win 7 straight with the save percentage like that. That's terrible.
Now
that's sarcasm.
I wouldn't say he was like great, like we forced him to be great tonight, but he was very solid, like he always is. And that's exactly what we need.
In the first period, he was great. He kept us in it in the first period. It's when we needed it, too. So I thought in the first period, he was great. He just didn't have to be great in the second or third because he didn't have much challenge.
What? How many shots did he face? Like
12?
11. He faced 11 in the last 2 periods. And he faced exactly that many in the first period, so... All right, Brandon again saying Mickey Mouse goals are still goals.
That's the Seguin goal.
That's probably what he's talking about there. But really, that's right. Who cares? Sagan's on the score sheet, and that's what we need him. And that's exactly what happened to Rope Hintz. Rope Hintz, got a greasy goal, and then now look at what the heck he's doing, and how that whole line is doing. So hopefully that gets Seguin going.
If I may point out something with Hintz. If Hintz had started on the goal pace that he is now, he would be up with Connor McDavid and Alexander Ovechkin on the year. If he started with the goal pace he is now.
And remember, he started the season injured, which is a large reason why that happened, probably.
And, okay, so let me ask you about this, because I thought about this. And we talked a little bit about how to get Seguin going and everything, and we saw a little bit of this as the game progressed, and we mentioned it already with the bottom 3 lines kind of getting put in the blender a little bit, because it really is just the top line doing most of the offense for us, as we saw again tonight. Who do you put with Seguin to get him going? Do you put him on the wing and maybe give him less responsibility? So maybe throw him with Ben and then put somebody else. But my thing is that, he got a goal tonight, but it's still not with the players that you want him playing with, right? I mean, Faksa is not a guy that you want him playing with on a regular basis. You want him playing with somebody who's going to kind of push him offensively. So who would you put him at? I mean, maybe I'm just thinking too much about this, and I should just be glad that we won the game. But I'd really like to see Seguin going more. Who would you put Seguin with? Who should he be with?
I'd like to see him with Guryanov. because we saw after the little line scramble in the second, it was kind of it was Ben Rads and I think Raffle, or no, it was Peterson. It was Ben Rads and Peterson. And I think that's a good line combo. And I think if we just get Sagan with Gurionov and whoever, like I literally don't care. I think that'd be a much better line at getting some offense going. And like we talked about in our pregame, for us to be a great team, that third line is going to have to get some consistent scoring too. So if we can figure out a way to get those two guys going on the same line too, I think would be more helpful. That'll extend this win streak and make us a better team for later goals. No pun intended.
Okay, how about this? How about him, Sagan, and Peterson? What about those three guys? Gurionov, Peterson, Sagan. What do you think of that line combo?
I like Peterson with Ben. Looks really good. I have no idea why. I just think Peterson looks more comfortable with Ben. So I want him to stay.
Well, the only reason why I say that is we've seen some flashes of, that kind of puck moving from Peterson. There was that one from the last game where it looked like he was gonna, take a shot. They were, after a really good dangle in front of the offensive goal. But maybe I'm thinking too much about this. But I'd really like to see Sagan going on this. Brandon actually says Sagan, Gary, and Glendening. I like Glendening, but I just don't. We need somebody who can play top 6 minutes, and Glendening is not that guy, in my opinion. And I think that Peterson would be.
Well, it's not top 6 minutes. I mean, we're talking about a third line here. That's what it is.
I know, but well, who's that second line? Is that the bin line then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're playing better.
I was thinking that the bin line was the third line because they play a bunch of defensive hockey against the other team's top lines.
Well,
so maybe
they're playing better and getting more chances.
Who cares?
So.
Monster minnows, more or less, whatever you want to take. But
yeah, I'd rather not have
a third line that works better.
Yeah.
I guess is what I should say.
I'd rather not have Glendening on that line just because I like him being on the checking line with Foxa and whoever, Kivy, Raffle, don't care. Just because it confirms you're going to win a face-off. Like, oh no, Foxa got kicked out. Here comes Glendening. Like it doesn't matter. So that's why I like having them on the same line together. And it makes them both not play as much 5-on-5. That way they're more ready for penalty kill, which is where they really shine.
Let's go ahead and bring in the power play real quick too, because as brilliant as the power play has been for the Stars this season, I believe we're still top 5. But we haven't been getting a ton of opportunities on the power play, and tonight is another example of that. We got one.
That's because the officiating is so inconsistent. Like one night there'll be
don't open that.
One night there's going to be 6 calls, and they're all going to be ticky-tacky, and then we're going to have a night like tonight where you literally have to put someone's face into the dasher to get a call. Like, what is going on? The officiating sucks. Like, I'd be fine if it was just like all the officials like did the same thing, but they're all different. Like it's like we're in the baseball where like every umpire has a different strike zone. Like there's no different set of rules. It's the rules.
Right.
It's
so let me. Okay. So I want to go on that side tangent because that's a really good point you bring up, Chris. I encourage you to go and watch the hockey guy on YouTube. He just literally did in the past couple of days a video about all of this stuff. And he kind of was looking at it and said, is it really the ref's fault, or do you look at the league and say it's the league's fault? And he was pointing all fingers straight at the league and the fact that they should just call the rule book. So if there's 20 penalties in the game, so be it. If there's a bunch of penalties in the game. If there's only 2 or 3, then just call those 2 or 3, but just stick to the rule book and let every ref stick to the rule book so that there's a consistent flat line of what that should be. So
and that's the issue. There's no line of what it should be. There's no should be. It's just whatever the refs decide. So, and I don't think that's a good way to run a whole league. So,
well, and unfortunately, we see that in all sorts of leagues, right? I mean, we see pass interference. It seems like refs have different ways of interpreting that in the NFL. In the MLB, there's different strike zones.
Well, I feel like the NHL is generally good at this, and that's why it's more annoying because, like,
I disagree with that. Sorry.
really,
They're just
it's
not
better than
consistent.
other sports leagues. We haven't had to create whole rules just because officials suck. So, I mean, we have reviews for majors now, and that was because of one situation, and like it wasn't
And
even that big of a
reviews for
deal.
offside.
Like, shut
by
up, James.
sticking
Quit
the
poking
puck.
holes in my lot. Quit poking holes in my
And
logic.
when the puck goes out
But
of the,
still.
out
Wait,
of the
Chris
just
is
feel
wrong
like-
on a podcast.
I just feel like other sports is just so much worse. That's why I like watching hockey more too, because I feel like the players can overcome refs being idiots. So
And it's harder to do in other leagues. Is that what you're saying?
exactly, yeah. If you get
Okay.
pass interference on every pass in the NFL, like there's nothing you can do. You're just gonna lose.
Okay. Well, side tangent before we close out tonight, because I think we've talked about just about everything. How about them Cowboys? They won tonight, so they beat the New Orleans Saints. That's great.
That's what we're side tangenting about.
And then
Ew.
no, wait. The Texas Rangers. How about them, man? Over
Yeah,
half
that's
a
I'm happy
billion
about.
dollars, man. $500 million
I don't.
into the team.
I do not understand how baseball works. Like, who just
No salary
decides-
cap, man. No salary cap.
Yeah, but with the no salary cap, who just decides like, okay, this year we're gonna spend all the money, and well, last year we're gonna trade Gallo because we don't want to pay him. Like, who decides that and why? It doesn't make
Maybe
any sense.
Maybe they just tanked and wanted to make some money this year so that they could have a better team this year. Because I mean, you can do that in the MLB, right? There's no salary cap, so
I
so the big
guess.
market teams can spend $200 million if they wanted to, which the Cowboys, the Rangers may end up doing, but whatever.
But like, why don't they just spend that much money every year?
Good question.
Like,
I don't know. That's true. I get it.
Never had
Again,
that
I don't
question
know.
answered.
So, okay, so good things are happening around the Metroplex, at least right now, locally. So, anything else we need to talk about, guys? Anything you all want to mention that's whatever? Doesn't even have to be sports related.
We miss
The Stars
Klingberg.
Yeah, but with the Stars win tonight, we jumped to third in the division. We jumped
Yeah.
from
Finally,
Colorado
division!
and Nashville.
Woo!
GG boys.
Start and end with GG.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, that's gonna be it for us tonight. Thank you guys for listening, whether you're listening live or you're listening on the podcast side the next morning. We really appreciate it. Once again, please make sure that you use the promo code THPN next time you go and use the DraftKings app. We really appreciate it. Next game is Monday, so you're not going to see us again until Monday. So enjoy your weekend. Go out and do Christmas stuff. Me and the family, we're going to go out and do breakfast with Santa at Chick-fil-A on Saturday morning, so that's going to be fun. Anyways, the home game is going to be against the Coyotes at 7:30, so this is another trap game. We got to make sure we win this game. We can't lose this one. That would suck to lose the winning streak on a team against like the Coyotes. So, anyway, along with Christian, along with James, I am Ryan. Make sure you guys follow us on all our social media accounts, including the podcast stuff. You can see James at JamesTheBombo2, Chris at ChrisCham2B, me at StarsBoy12, and StarcasticR on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube
All the
channel.
things.
All the stuff, Snapbook, and all that. So,
Face chat.
anyways, guys, we hope you guys have a fantastic and wonderful evening/morning.
GG boys.
GG.